Well then, let us not waste any more time. Welcome back, everyone. And let us jump right back in. Where were we? Where were we indeed? We are under ways of painting upon a pale canvas. I must go very carefully. The memories that I need to convey will take flight from the canvas if I depict them too strongly. I will find those memories in the flesh of the dead, and perhaps even, if I must, in my own dying flesh. A good evening, Moonwing. Vorpal, what did that mean again? The memory escapes me for a moment. Right, where were we? An expedition to Keglin's Scratch, upon others. Right, we did also eat King Crucible. That is certainly something that happened. Let's also, before we begin reading, sort some of these books, because not all of them are as valuable as the others. There we go. Let us translate Sunset Passages, a holy text of the Church of the Unconquered Sun, which in many histories was driven underground, in Latin. Well, optimism is the spice which saves. Though, I mean, not that we have to make much use of that, as of yet at least. Oh yes, and we did also have our appetites, though not too many as of yet. Let's see here. Oh, right, yes, and hopefully today, or tonight rather, the ascent to the Peacock store will be ours, with a little bit of luck. Let's see, a commission of secret histories, substantial. We have just the thing for that. Let us speed things up a little. Also, is there a point in still speaking of esoteric matters? Not much, but I think at least one more time couldn't hurt. We call upon the watchman who navigates. The watchman will clear our sight so that we can almost certainly pass without error. Sunset Passages, a miscellany of funerary prayers, ceremonies, and hymns of the Church of the Unconquered Sun, which was ascendant in the 3rd and 4th histories. It schismed during the Intercalate, when the sun was divided, and has not survived as a significant force. Yes, I imagine a Church of the Unconquered Sun would undergo quite a schism if the sun itself were to be divided. Oh yes, right, just one Edge disciple, and also only one Winter disciple. Though both of those ranks are easily swelled with maids in the mirror. Let's see here. The Painted River. There's a great chamber in the mansis through which a painted river flows. The vagabond, it is claimed, painted it from memory in the years before she left the house. Certainly there are histories concealed in its design. I traced them with my hand last night. There were fragments of aquamarine paint beneath my nails, flecks of gold leaf when I was done. Forbidden epic. The attention of the hours is drawn to the bloodiest wars. Afterwards, the histories are braided like hair. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the land beyond the forest, across the continent. And we shall put it to the others. We'd also have these here, the Hunter's Pits. The tearing tribes enlarged this cave system, digging shafts, preparing traps. It may have been a place of execution or a proving ground. In either case, it's sacred, and the tribes don't want us here. If we survive them, there's still one more terror in the cramped tunnels. We may need some additional assistance for that one. In the form of certain visitors. No, very substantial would need an operation of the labite, a series of mystic exercises that require both dedication and terror. And we shall provide our reason. I wonder... Keighlyn's Scratch does perhaps also bear with it the chance of an additional memory. There are dead here, though perhaps not in the consumable. Well, yes, I mean... Most horror games are ultimately about slaying the terror, so I believe Edge would be useful in any case. Sunset Passages. The church revered the sun in splendor before it was divided, but even while it was still whole, its later selves were recognized as its names. The Madrugad, of course, presides over death and the passage into the house. A white ceremony. When I speak it, my lips don't crisp with frost. Each time, this is surprising. Interesting, so the names of the sun in splendor were already known before its division. I didn't know that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Those indignities perpetrated by the deceitful fraternity of obliviates. This book is as famous for the near incoherent fury of its tone as for the knowledge it contains. In Latin. Lock the study door, the work begins. Let's see. We call upon the ivory dove, who knows the names of all the dead. The dead circle the edges of our vision like frayed dreams. The very air around us is chill with winter's shadow. They must recognize that. The hunger that grows in dark earth. The taste, the particular taste. The taste which is neither fair nor foul. It comes to trouble my mouth again. My tongue will swell, my lips will blacken. The elixir has set its spores within me, and only dead flesh can quell them. Well, once the expedition is done, we can go on a bit of an excursion. Let's see, a commission in moth, substantial. We have what is needed for that. And the hanger-on can go here. Should we... No, first let's hand in our commissions. Alright, we're now to Graveyard Mouth. Appetite level 3. Now that I have tasted the graveyard fruit, the hunger comes often to trouble me. My mouth waters at the fragrances of decay, and my belly growls like a dog. Do not ever permit it to reach 7. The game may end, and not pleasantly. Well, we have no intention of letting it come that far. The Madrugad, I know the depiction of it in the, as a tarot card, which is the, I think it was a woman with outstretched arms and glowing eyes, surrounded by birches. It's not clear whether CROD, who is identified only by his initials, was in fact an initiate of the Obliviate Order of Immortal Adepts. He wrote in the 16th century, after the order, if he is to be believed, had passed the height of its power. 58. That they did claim the inheritance of the traditions of the House of Lethe, but they have disgraced both its most sacred and most beautiful ceremonies where they are not found convenient. 59. Alright, one more silver spintria. We're currently working on that commission. Yeah, let's speak of esoteric matters one more time. Why not? Treasures lie before us. Nice. Alright, this will lead to tentative evidence, but we can deal with that. Yeah, I mean, I figured, yeah, to be entirely honest, Earl of Rats, that was just on a pure whim. I looked at the card, saw that it was Remnant, and I thought, I mean, theoretically that should work, and then it did. It turns out it did, but I don't know where to find the other memories yet. So since one of them was contained by King Crucible, I assume that Theresa Galmier and 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 might also contain one, and of course then exploration, especially in those places associated with death and decay. Once a lady, the air is stale, the dust sifts worryingly down from the rock above, but the dead lie still. This chamber, with its chalked figures and ancient stains, looks promising. Alright, a commission fulfilled. To be handed in at the earliest opportunity. Currently, yes, speaking of esoteric matters. Now I share the right that the Order used to summon a Caligain spirit. In clear defiance of the Lethean tradition, they did not offer Knocklore with a Winter Initiate and a Malleus Imperative, but rather Winterlore with a Knock Initiate and the Malleus. It is not to be born... Anyways. An operation of the declining sun. This invokes, acknowledges, and welcomes the passage to silence. Use this in a rite with a heart influence and Byzantine tinct to summon the voiceless dead, and the rite of the Watchman's sorrow, though I think, yeah, we already had that one. Anyways. This rite recalls the loss of the Watchman, who walks the house which has no walls. Light goes before him and shadow behind. He must not see you. The instrument of power is used to summon him to take his sacrifice, precious knowledge from the root of your thoughts. The assistant must speak the words that anchor your sanity, so choose someone you trust. Yeah, I mean, what were his initials? I forgot already. They were certainly speaking with a lot of passion. I'll give them that. The Thirsting Tantra. C.G. Burial, the Temperance Campaigner, published elements of this in a pamphlet, which had to be withdrawn and destroyed after it became too popular. Let's see here, another acquaintance. Very nice. Ah, indeed. I was right. One more treasure. Caput gerat lupinum. When a human passes beyond the permissible, they were once considered to have become a wolf. Interesting. So yes, indeed, this place yielded us another scrap. Once a lady, in a lead-lined sarcophagus lies the skeleton of a woman. She wasn't buried here. It looks like she crawled in to die. Something has happened to the shape of her skull, pushing out the jaw like the muzzle of a beast. Scraps of rotting linen swathe her bones. Treasures lie among the remains of her clutching hands between her ribs. Alright. The main thing I came here for was, of course, the cracked, wildering mirror. A deep crack runs along the shimmering metal. A forge-aspected follower could repair it with sufficient resources, or I could use up what power remains in it. And 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 blade. A cut from this blade will not cease bleeding until the wound is healed. One account has it that 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 was a knife-collecting surgeon highwayman. Knife-collecting surgeon highwayman, an interesting combination of occupations, in 18th century Toulouse. Another claims 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 is only the bastardization of an Arabic word for mosquito. Interesting. Which, like, I mean, that's an interesting reference because unless I'm misremembering, the venom of a mosquito bite does actually prevent blood from coagulating. Which is also, I mean, maybe not the exact same effect, but that same venom is then also the thing that makes the mosquito bite itch. But yes, so that could very much be a reference to that. Alright. Now the question is, do we... I think we should slake our appetite before we embark on another expedition. The Maiden Mirror does also still have decent enough time, but just to be sure, I am going to summon another one. Wolf's Head. Did she know the sun as it was? Interesting. So yeah, as the expedition text described, the woman's skull is indeed shaped like that of a wolf. Which, I mean, that seems to be in memory of, or in reference to the wolf divided, which itself is the scar of the sun in splendor. Aha. Albaid. Yeah, that could check out. Yeah, I mean, the Al is missing, but otherwise... Alright, I think we're going to go with Forgotten Chronicle. Last night, Girby was talkative. He spoke in his siege engine voice of the histories he'd overheard in the waking world. I listened until his stories tailed off again into weeping. A Forgotten Chronicle. A story of a city without a gate, of a queen who was not born, of a war which was not fought. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations on the continent. We'll put it to the others, and we'll go right back in the stag door. Ah, I see. Okay, so that's the, what's the word? Pronoun is the wrong term. I am not that, well versed in the, different grammatical terms. Alright, so we need the cemetery. Alright, the maiden mirror is currently busy, so for this first disinterment we'll send 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭. Speaking of Edge followers, Rose, an acquaintance. Rose is a sly miss, and she recognizes you as someone uncommon. Alright, then. The Thirsting Tantra. Right, the text of the tantras usually doesn't change, so... we have some feasting to do. So let's hand in this commission. This will save the wolf's head to slake any potential upcoming hunger during the expedition. And let's, very good. We have 2 maids in the mirror now. Quite useful. We'll send the slightly more decayed one out to secure us another meal. The current hunter we have is Spencer Hobson. Hobson has been a journalist, a private detective, and rather briefly a priest. Now he's an agent of the Suppression Bureau. He's the erratic one. And I think, although, I mean, one of my potential uses for him would be to recruit him, but for that we would need a winter tool of at least 8, and there's only the 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 manacles right now, and we might still need those. Although, I mean, recruiting along in the making is usually more valuable than a single tool, and I think, I mean, can we gain the 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 manacles from anywhere else? Yeah, it's, that's the thing I really like about the Sunset Rite. Once you've summoned something and you have enough knock lore, you can basically print it. Right, I mean, Spencer Hobson is erratic, so there's a good chance we won't even get any tentative evidence, but if we do, we have plenty of moth followers. The painted river runs from a great chamber near the white door, far through the mansus to its far edge where it enters a painted delta of far cloud. I voyaged half its length last night with a stern-faced captain beneath a rust-red sail. As the clouds rose before us, the sailors raised the yearning shanty and close-hauled the sails to best use the painted wind. And all the while the captain and I discoursed on the secrets of the House of the Sun. And we have a lesson learned in erudition. Not that we still need it. We do have the rarefied mind, but it will eventually decay into erudition, which can then be used to increase our knowledge of certain lores. Alright then, considering the evidence. Another snack? Feast upon a corpse. There's sometimes something left over which must be buried again, but one can be resourceful. Something joyful. Another corpse. And we need, if I'm not mistaken, one more. Let's see. These maids... No, I send the slightly more decayed one. And get some new commissions. And after our appetites are slaked, we would do best, I think, to embark on an expedition to the Hunter's Pits here. Oh, and yes, it does indeed seem like Spencer Hobson here has failed in producing more evidence against us, or producing evidence against us to begin with. So, nothing to worry about. Begin an expedition, Hunter's Pit, the trap labyrinths of the tearing tribes. We'll have to scale the mountains and battle our way through the tribes. After that, no doubt, there will be something else. So the mountains, which we can surpass via winter, the tribes, which we can surpass via edge, and then something else, which we'll have to see about. Alright, something menacing. I think we'll use our job as a medium to make use of this, because if we spoke of it to Miss Nenya, we would only get, I think, an influence, which we have not that much use of right now. Another erudition. I don't know, with time I settle into a rhythm of always picking one of the options through each door, because I think the odds of getting secret histories from the Painted River is slightly higher than the Ascent of Knives, though I could be wrong on that. Right. Ah, okay. A snake, watchers, and high passes. So aside from one more funds, we do already have everything we need. Something profitable? What's the upcoming season? Ah, sickness. Oh well. Right, what else do we have that can be read on? Alright, we have translated the Thirsting Tantra. Now let's read it. A disquisition on the many varieties of thirst, their uses and their effects. Cash, money, very good. We'll keep something joyful for now if we ever need an emergency supply of contentment. But speaking of contentment, although... No, let's fulfill more commissions. If we indeed want to penetrate the Peacock store in this episode, we shall need a fair supply of spinte. We call upon the Madrugad, who cannot be unbalanced. The hour called the Madrugad is at home in the cold. She will almost certainly keep us from falling. Forge Very nice. Through the high passes, frost-scarred and shivering, we've made it through the mountains. Though, I don't know if maids in the mirror are capable of shivering, so... oh well. Another forbidden epic. Oh, that is the wrong card. Alright, probably should have dealt with this right away. Anyways. And I forgot to read that. Shame. And we have a new rite. Rite of the Sea's Feasting. This rite calls on the witch and sister to close the gap between what is and what might be. The adept pours or hurls an offering into water, preferably but not essentially the sea. And a theatic invocation. Raucous shrieks attend the passage of the names of the Grail. We reproduce them as best we can, for the pulsing power they lend. You think that, although I don't actually know if maids in the mirror literally live in mirrors. I know hints live behind mirrors, but it's never made explicit despite their name if maids in the mirror are also exclusively bound to mirrors. At least I don't think so. Maybe it's stated in one of the texts, like what is contained by silver, though that one I think talks primarily about hints. The Fire Circle Tantra. The one known extant copy of this in Western Europe was stolen from the British Library in 1892. One Harvey Hattington confessed to the crime and claimed to have eaten it with butter and garlic in a moment of ungovernable whimsy. Well, that's moth to you. Yeah, I mean, cooked prophet would probably be Forge of Days, not Grail. Though I forget, was a raw prophet a strength 8 or a strength 10 creature? I mean, we have no real reason to preserve this, but we might as well. More bronze spintree. And we'll see if this may generate us some contentment. If it doesn't, we'll use something joyful here. And not to forget, healing and affliction. The medicine is dark and bitter as tar. It would be easy to suspect I am being poisoned. The Fire Circle Tantra. Herein the great hooded princes are shown beseeching the wood to rise and devour an invading Timurid army. The Dapple King, the Honey Tree, and the Sea Twins all deny their request until they enlist the help of a burrowing secret keeper. So, Dapple King, obviously the moth. Honey Tree is the malachite, also known as the ringyu. The Sea Twins, I would assume, are the sister and witch and sister, although I wouldn't, I would have not counted those among the powers of the woods, so this might be someone else. I don't know. And of course, the burrowing secret keeper is the Velvet. Alright, this did actually give us some contentment, so we'll spend something joyful here. Yeah, the witch and sister and the sister and witch are born were born from two separate wombs on two separate shores, I think the text went. So, sea twins does indeed describe them pretty well. I just would have not, I don't know, maybe one of their aspects is moth? But, not that I could remember. The Watcher's end. Their blood pumps bright, then dark. They should not have opposed us. We move on. Oh, and also, one thing I would greatly appreciate, Moon or anyone else, if you could check if the 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 manacles are obtainable from any of the non-unique exploration locations. That would be quite useful to know, just so I can plan ahead, because if they are obtainable from one of the repeatable locations, I can repeatedly gift them to renegades to recruit them. Otherwise, we would run pretty short on eligible tools to do that. Alright, some more funds, and let's also fulfill these commissions. Oh, okay. The witch and sister, also called the twins, is one of the hours, associated with the hour 6. She is the inverse of the sister and witch. Her aspects are grail, moth, and heart. Ah, okay. Interesting, okay. I guess I misremembered that then. Because I knew they were grail and heart, but the moth aspect I must have forgotten about. Memories of better times keep the wolf from the door. The wolf despair prowls elsewhere. Alright, we've gained more hunger. Armed with blackmail and blackmail material from the burrowing secret keeper, the great hooded princes petition the powers of the wood for a second time, and are successful. 1/4 of the Timurid army is devoured by bees, 1/4 drowns themselves, and 1/4 disrobe themselves until nothing remains. Moldywarp admonitions. Moldywarp keeps her crowns in the moss and her feet in the dirt and the trees locked jaw tight. Moldywarp has these warnings for you. Alright, we have lore of the 8th degree in every aspect now, which is pretty nice. Alright, and there's but one more obstacle in our way. On this front. We have a new commission here. And yeah, let's slake our hunger now with the wolf's head. This will not be an easy meal. Yeah, I mean, it is a skull, so grind it up, I suppose. A commission on lantern from the good doctor. The serpent struggles, the serpent rolls and roars, its death throes shake the earth. But it's dying. We will pass. Burrito? God damn it. God damn it. Okay, okay, okay. Alright. That's a good one. I have to very begrudgingly confess. Right, feast upon a remnant. This will not be an easy meal. I have a memory from how matters stood before the intercalate, ready to paint. Splendid memory. The sun was brighter once. No warmer, but its light held colors we no longer see. Very interesting. So this is a memory of the sun in splendor. Though, I still very much wonder what happens if I speak about these memories with Miss Nenya. Because I wonder, does that consume them, or... Yeah, or does that just... Because I mean, if it consumes them, then it implies there's some other way to get them. If it doesn't consume them, that would also be interesting. I'm kinda scared to find out, because what if it's, like, unique, but at the same time, I kind of have to know, right? So, in the name of, science, let's try this. When I come before Miss Nenya, it seems to me that a pale light plays around her mouth and her eyes. Is there a save feature? I mean, the game kind of does autosave. Though, I'm just gonna put my trust in the game and, hope it wouldn't deliberately softlock me. So, here goes nothing, I suppose. Alright, treasures lie before us. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that is true. I'm just gonna let whatever happens happen. Falling through time. Later, I remembered how Miss Nenya and I had strolled through the shuttered gallery, arm in arm. The light of the candle she carried played on the faces of the other paintings. "We will not be forgotten," she breathed, "as long as our image endures." Okay, so... it does preserve our memory. It does also give us restlessness, interestingly enough, which, I mean, I don't really have much use for, but... I mean... yeah, restlessness has a whole lot of aspects, but winter isn't among them. Though, I mean, I can still use it up by recruiting Rose here. Though, on second thought, I should have probably recruited Enid instead. Anyways, doesn't make much of a difference. Forgotten Chronicle once more. We have quite a few of those now. The memory of war. In the crumbling depths of the hunter's pits, we found a room where battle scenes are painted on the walls. Here are the shrines of all the great hunters of the Tearing tribes. The Tearing Mountains being, if I'm not mistaken, which one's for, which mountain range was it? I forget the name, in Anatolia, the ones. Rose is a sly miss, but loyal. Yes, I mean, the heart is unceasing. Always bawling. Ah, the August Stone. Though, no, well, I already know Deep Mandake, so never mind. These are the trophies the hunters won. Not all the beasts they slew are beasts that walk the earth today. Where do I put this, ideally? Probably here. Scaptodon Fang? It is rare for the Lionsmith to make Scaptodons now, but they are difficult to kill and live a very long time. What Scaptodons, were those real? I think they were. I think that is like a prehistoric, animal. The Book of Dissolution. Alexander Popst, following the foundational work of Hosty More, discovered a copy of this work from a mountain temple in Persia. Other copies surface now and then, usually seared on rock. Huh. I always like the idea of like these texts that just kind of appear burned into the world somewhere. And we also have a Malleus Imperative, a tiny ear bone blackened by intense heat. Applied correctly, it can crack stone. And the August Stone, a tremendous bowl, big as a gong, carved from black basalt, with matching incantations in Aramaic and Mandaic. If you speak Aramaic, you can use this as a key to Mandaic. We do already, however, speak Mandaic, so I mean, we can still translate it because I think that increases its resale value. But until then, I think we'll go on another expedition in memory of what you said last. The Taurus mountain range. Good to know. Of what you suggested last time, Moonwings. We'll see if maybe the citadel of one Vlad Tepes, son of the dragon, or Dracula, may not contain some more morsels for us to sample. And yeah, I think I will commit the splendid memory to canvas. A forgotten color, auroral rose vies with electric blue. There is neither night nor morning, but only the hours of noon anticipated. And lingering noon. I don't think I understand that sentence structure. There's neither night nor morning, but only the hours of noon. Anticipated and lingering noon. Maybe it'll become more legible as this progresses. Let's see, what could we speak of? We are still looking for a second Winter Disciple, though that's not really much of a requirement. Instead, let's discuss occult business and get Laidlaw here to repair this cracked mirror. The Voivode's vault will be hidden well, and if the stories are true, his victims may not rest peacefully in the dark behind the citadel's walls. Voivode's citadel. In the days of the great power of the Turks, a man of power ruled here. Over many years he fed many thirsts, until his own thirst overcame him. I have learned that both his treasures and his victims may remain in an untouched vault below the castle. So we have Dead, which the Maids in Mirror will more than handily get rid of, and we have a hidden door, which we can find with Lantern. Well, I recently went to Voivode's Citadel in a another playthrough, a priest playthrough, which that one went dreadfully, all in all, but I do remember from that, because it wasn't too long ago, that I think the sarcophagus of the Voivode himself lay empty, which, well, I think the implication there is pretty clear, but maybe other scraps of lost humanity remain. We gain a bit more hunger, but it's still a while until we reach 7. And with this, the expedition should have everything. The ivory dove, who knows the names of all the dead. The dead circle the edge of our vision like frayed dreams. The very air around us is chill with winter's shadow. They must recognize that. Alright. The Book of Dissolution. The book consists mostly of prayers to the unburnt god, the Forge of Days, which consumes and transforms. It suggests the forge's power arises partly from its nature and partly from its tools. Interesting. Lingering noon. I've stalked the image like a hunter, never looking it in the eye. No pigment I have can express these lost colors, and so I must understate them. Auroral rose vies with electric blue. There is neither night nor morning, but only the hours of the noon, anticipated and lingering noon. We each of us open our hearts to the golden needle of the sky, all colors magnified beneath the sun in splendor. The colors that were. Alright, 4 out of who knows how many. I mean, to know that, I mean, the sun in splendor technically isn't, or is the sun in splendor a god from stone? But in any case, this clearly recites the different dead hours, since, you know, we are in the service of the elegiast, who remembers the dead hours. It makes sense, though I don't remember how many dead hours there were. Precisely, so I don't know how many of these aspects we need to paint onto the canvas. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. Right, materials for the cracked wildering mirror. My follower is at work on the mirror. The wary dead. The dead draw back, their almost faces flat and watchful. They will not trouble us. The mirror is repaired. It shines again as it did once before. A multiplicity of vistas, a bewilderment of views. Gaze upon me and rejoice in the dissolution of your senses. This will be quite useful once we find the way to the Peacock store, but until then, we'll have to wait. I don't think Heart can get us there, but Edge can. Lantern can, and maybe Knock, though I'm not sure on that last front. In the meanwhile, let's work on some more commissions. And let's gain some new commissions. Expedition continues. Only a hidden door is left. Well, I mean, I think there's a whole lot of stuff here that can dilute, mess with our senses, so wouldn't be the only thing. The Book of Dissolution. The book describes an earlier House of the Sun, whose doors and ways were different. It praises the Forge of Days for opening the ways into the house, and for transforming that which was to that which is, despite the screams of stone. Interesting. I mean, yeah, the Forge of Days, I think, was pretty involved in the No, not the intercalate, the lithomancy. The slaying of the gods from stone. Formula fissive. Break a thing and you have fragments. Break those fragments and you have dust. Break the dust and then break what remains. Here is fire. Oh, damn. I think, because also formula fissive, this lore relates to nuclear fission. Breaking up the atoms and then there's fire. At least that's what I think, especially in light of what the Forge Apostle legacy entails. Breaking the dawn and whatnot. Spicy? What is spicy? Was this? This was the counts, yes. Now, what to read next? We do have some works in VAC, though we don't speak that language yet, so let's translate the August Stone. Not really because we need it to speak Deep Mendaic, but because doing so will increase its value, I think, at least. An affliction, let's put it here so we don't forget. Yeah, I mean... he did certainly break the dawn, that's for sure. We call upon the watchman who illuminates. We'll almost certainly find this hidden door. Faint lines in stone. A surface that yields to pressure. We found it! The hidden door moves with a grating shudder and a shower of dust. A commission fulfilled. So let's work on another one. And would there also be... I'm tempted to speak again of esoteric matters, but there's really not much of a need, so... Oh, okay, so that just gives us, yeah, the August Stone in book form, which is more valuable, so there's at least that. Could read Queens of the Rivers, but all this will give us is some fairly low level, what was it? Secret Histories. So, instead let's keep this unoccupied for now. Although, I mean, we might as well. There's not much else there to do right now. A brief treatise on edge principle. Affliction healed. A stag door entered. Yes, I mean, I suppose that's true. What would there be that would make sense to fuse? These two, Invocations of the Ivory Dove. An HQ with a pit, which we do have. And knowledge. Yes, so let's study these two next. Together. I don't think winter will get us to the Peacock Door, but... I mean... whatever. It's still worth increasing our knowledge of it. The Queen of the Vistula is poisoned. The Queen of the Dnieper chokes on a fishhook. The Queen of the Tagus is burnt alive. The culprit, it transpires, is the audience. The surviving queens are directed to execute whatever audience members do not escape. A surprisingly lucid epilogue suggests that the correspondence of river names with historical events does provide clues to secret histories behind our own. Okay, nothing but an occult scrap, but oh well. And the empty tomb. Here is the voivode's mausoleum. Swagged cobwebs hang like soft grey drapes. A great sandstone sarcophagus stands upright at the far end. It's empty. Someone has left a little heap of treasures before the sarcophagus, like an offering. There are no footprints in the dust. Whoever left them came here long ago, or else has no need to touch the ground when they pass. Slightly ominous. We have a wakeful tympanum. In the grove they flayed the thunder, they rattled their instruments to rouse the frenzy, the power still clings like scent. Count Swagula, indeed. The Gospel of Zacharias, a lost early Christian text? It's in Greek. De Bellis Mororum, that was an older text. 26 enticements, 7 torments, Fuchin. A catalogue of uncharted pleasures in... what was it? Phrygian, I think. Yes, which we don't speak yet. We would have to get a zine for that. The Book of Thrones, a legend of the Shadowless Empire, transcribed by Alexander Peterhans from annals at a secret shrine in Anatolia. Also in Phrygian. So now, what else do we have here? The Cave of Candles. Let's send out our maids in the mirror once more. The ascent to the cave through the high passes will be dangerous. Whatever waits in the darkness below is probably more dangerous still. Every seventh sunset, the cunning man comes from the village below to renew the candles. The floor of the entrance chamber is a slick of stinking wax. He claims the light. Oh, 1 second. He claims the light keeps the creature below cowed, but more likely the sacrifices he brings keep it too sated to emerge. My hope is that there's some kind of remnant here too, since, you know, there is mention of the cunning man leaving sacrifices to sate the creature here. So, maybe we are indeed lucky. In the meanwhile, we have a bit of an appetite, but not too much. Nothing to worry about as of yet. So now we could still proceed with our plan to upgrade influences, but instead let's gain some new ones by reading these texts. The Gospel of Zacharias. What do we have here? Mountain passes, which winter provides. And the younger sister, which Edge can overcome. A new commission from Dr. Ibn al-Adim. Who, I wonder, because obviously Dr. Ibn al-Adim is along, which is quite conspicuously noticeable by the fact that he doesn't in fact have the mortal tag next to him. Though I do wonder what kind of long he is. My suspicion would be on Lantern, because he does seem to favor Lantern, Secret History, more knowledge-based lores for his commissions. in the meantime, who else could we speak with? We could also recruit some of our acquaintances. Though, well, I think it makes more sense to wait with recruitment until there are certain influences here that we need to get rid of. I don't think there is, because secret history isn't, as far as I understand at least, isn't an aspect of lore in the same way the other ones are. Though, I think there are hours dedicated to secret history, or rather, at least one, the Vagabond. Through the high passes, frost scarred and shivering, we've made it through the mountains. Very nice. The commission fulfilled. Another commission to work on. Right, and we now have the Gospel of Zacchaeus, an extremely heterodox account of the Nazarene Messiah and his works, describing his ascension to the manses through the opening of his body. So, Nazarene Messiah, obviously, that would refer to Jesus of Nazareth, which would indeed make this an early Christian text of the heterodox denomination. 7 were the wounds of his body, 7 the doors of the house, 7 the lesser aspects of the hour, and knock the aspect of all, above all, for the mother of ants is the mother of salvation. That's also a very interesting thing that knock, more than all other aspects, seems to be very intertwined with Christianity, and also with the number 7, which is, in the Priest Legacy, one of the first things you see. There is Matthias, Matthias 7:7, which is in the actual real Bible. I don't know what the exact text was, but it ended with knock and ye shall be opened, which is such a cool detail to like work in, to have like an actual like Bible verse with a number that correlates with the number associated to the aspect, have a passage which sounds like a reference to that aspect. Yet another example of Cultist Simulator's excellent world building. The expedition continues. Right. And Spencer Hobson, maybe he'll be successful in his attempts to create evidence this time, though I'm not holding my breath. Honestly, we do kind of want this this fellow here to be around for as long as possible, because he is, let's be honest, one perhaps the most inept of the hunters. Yes, I mean, breathing, after all, is a JoJo's reference, so... Eyes like gas lamps, scales like black jade. A serpent is a powerful foe, but it's nothing before us. Let's fulfill Dr. Ibn Aladdin's commission. The Gospel of Zacchaeus. The book includes a description of a rite which can be used to raise a corpse to half-life, in memory of he who bled for the wood. It requires a corpse and sufficient power. The author suggests an invocation of Winterlore and an assistant touched by the powers of a wood. Interesting. We have... No, we already had that, right? So... Well, never mind. We also have this here. 26 enticements, 7 torments. The painter Niels Frederik Malsker notoriously attempted a series of paintings based on the torments. By the fifth torment, the demands of the painting had grown so dire that he died of blood loss. The diagrams in this text are thankfully less detailed. Interesting. Let's translate it. The serpent struggles. The serpent rolls and roars. Its death throes shake the earth. But it's dying. We will pass. We have no sickness to get rid of, so let's delve right back in. Although, no, for just a moment I'll like to test. Yes. Oh! Right, that was the spider's door. So now we would have to dream, yeah, of course, of the spider's door to gain access to the peacock's door. I mean, it may just be very strong, not very heavy. Right? Because, I mean, if you're strong enough, it doesn't really matter how light you are. You might still shake the earth, so to speak. Right, Sylvia here has quite a few scars, so I'll instead send Elizabeth. And let's provide the reason here. Yes, yes. All snakes are beautiful. Alright. The enticements of the Grail outnumber its torments, but its torments are its final nature. Birth is the first torment, and thirst the 7th. I wonder if there's any writing on the other ones. Because I don't think there is. But there might be. There's a lot in this game that could be overlooked. Alright, our appetites rise once again. By a tiny bit. Fascination, let's get rid of that. I mean, yeah, sure, let's get rid of it right away. A nest of lights. The tunnels beneath the cave are smooth with a great serpent's passage, and chokingly dark until we come with our lanterns. But the chamber where it nested is surprisingly bright. Luminescent fungi flood the place with ersatz moonlight. Perhaps the candles drew it, not repelled it. A little cache of treasures, culled over the years of the serpent's meals. It has nosed them into a glinting pile. Ichor vitreous, a pale and watchful fluid that can be gathered sometimes when the door in the eye is opened. Ugh, it's very unappetizing. The account of Kanishk at the spider's door. Lok Kahuli, Kanishk's victim and lover, wrote this account, perhaps posthumously, in Aramaic. And The Sky the Soul, the grand labor of Kali, an ascetic poet writing at the court of the shadowless kings, also in Aramaic. And yeah, let's put this somewhere here so we know to sell it at any opportunity. I mean, either it's tears or it's, you know, the eye fluid itself. Because I think it's the latter, because it can be gathered when the door in the eye is opened, which, you know, the watchman opens the door in the eye by cutting the eye open. At least that's my interpretation. This would be essential were we an apostle for lantern, but we're not, so up there it goes with the rest of the baubles. Yeah, I mean, this also seems to be that. I mean, it in a weird way seems fitting that eye fluid is tasteless and scentless, since it isn't ear or tongue fluid after all. Alright, so let's search for promising cemeteries. And I will preserve one of the maids in mirror, the other one I will let expire. 26 enticements, 7 torments. Through the enumeration of the Grail's enticements and torments winds the sorrowful history of the witches of the dry land, the ordeal of birth from 2 wombs, their struggle from and supplication of the Grail, their yearning for union which drives them all. Alright, so that's the, you know, the twins. But also, I think Phrygian or one of the tongues was the tongue of witches. Was it? No, yeah, I think it was Phrygian. Phrygian? I'm not sure. I mean, we could always get a 3rd maid, but it's kind of the question of for what purpose. But, I mean, as long as we watch our dread, should be fine. And we can also get rid of some dread by using it up in the right. Wait, did I use the correct maid? Yeah. Another commission. And another commission. And what else to read here? Right, we have these works in Aramaic. This one I think is Edge. This one, however, I think is Lantern. It might also be Edge. I am colorblind. Alright, a cemetery. And we have... let's see here. 2 appetites. So, 2 corpses. Bit of a close run thing here. But, yeah, there's more than enough time for us to use the human corpse before it decays. Alright, the summoning also seems to have went on without a hitch. Very nice. So we now have a replacement made. Which means we can let this one decay without too much qualms. Now, the thing I want to know is which principles get us to the glass garden. Knock, not forge, lantern I'm almost certain, yes. Not moth, not grail, not heart, not winter, but edge as well. Alright, good to know. Sadly, we don't have anything to open the spider's door at this moment, but, well, we'll live. Right, not this, not yet. First, we have something to feast upon. Oh, tentative evidence. And Sir Hobson actually pulled through. Let's, fix that. Must be a pretty frustrating deal working for the Suppression Bureau. Endless piles of mystique to root through in late hours of no doubt unpaid overtime, and then as soon as you actually manage to get some tentative evidence, a moth flutters into the department and whoop, it's gone. So now, the Kuznetsov endowment. Prince Kuznetsov gave 1/4 part of his blood-soaked fortune to the establishment of a department of eschatology at his provincial university. The staff have grown peculiar now, and the buildings fester in a freezing swamp. But some of Kuznetsov's bequest, perhaps, was spent on treasures. The journey to the endowment buildings is not long, but the ground is difficult. We have sent 3 times for permission to visit, and received a less friendly answer each time. No doubt the staff will attempt to forbid our entry. Right, we'll need probably forge or lantern followers to get us across. Yeah, we will certainly do that, probably with I think what we'll do is get one of these winter lores and combine it with knock. But before that, usually the way I like to go about it is read books as long as they're available, and once we run out of high leveled books, then we'll start fusing the lore we got, because oftentimes you'll spend a long time subverting or deepening lore, only to then read a book that would have given you that lore with way less of a hassle. Alright, our appetite is slaked in its entirety. Something unexpected we have here, and something profitable. Something profitable we'll use on our job as a medium, but something unexpected I think we'll talk with Miss Nenya too. Because this... 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 Outre? Ah, who knows? French. With Miss Nenya. Miss Nenya's expression is difficult to read today. I've become conscious of her eyes, her mouth, the lines of her face as separate objects, conjunct only by chance, like the contents of someone's pockets emptied onto a table. And let's work on something profitable. I found someone who'll benefit from this memory. They'll pay well. Right, yeah, lantern would be the most useful aspects to bring along here. Ah, we forgot, we lost one chance to add a follower, but it doesn't matter, we're safe across treacherous ground anyway. And let's heal this. air, it becomes something else. Oh, okay, we're a bit pressed on fascination. Let's get rid of this restlessness through painting, and maybe that'll give us some contentment. Miss Nenya says nothing, but there in the gallery I snatch my pen from my pocket, and I write, frenziedly, as if I had been given directions by someone whispering in my ear. When I follow the directions, I will find something precious. And precious, we find something indeed. Witch-kissed oil, the formula remains unchanged since the day Hecate was worshipped at the crossways. The, goddess of witchcraft. And featuring quite prominently, if I recall correctly, in the second Hades game, which is currently in early access, where she is voiced by the narrator of Baldur's Gate 3. Or, you know, the same voice actress. Safe across treacherous ground, very nice. Let's now add a second lantern follower. To guarantee us 10 lantern, which should be more than enough for that hidden door. And now let's read The Sky, the Soul. 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭's verses are brief, obscure, and often dominated by images of violence. A star is a pinprick, but the sun is a wound. And let's add a final piece of funding. Season of Visions, great. Yeah, let's paint a little bit, because that has a pretty good chance of gaining us contentment. Oh yeah, Hecate, yeah, I mean, you know, the important spell, most important spell, is the, witch spell of them gains. But yeah, I mean, in usual Hades fashion, the designs are immaculate. The Sky, the Soul. It's always possible to be deader, 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 states. The watchman goes before, none but 7 may go after. Yet surely we are born to the glory as the sparks fly upwards. It's always possible to be deader is the last words of the ending of the Forge Ascension. And yeah, as I suspected, we now have what we sought, even without subverting any lore. Formulae concursate. The concursum waits at the lantern of the mansus. It has been called the Chamber of Ways and also the Chamber of Endings. Its intricacies are probably beyond human comprehension, but these formulae are a first approximation. Use this in a rite with a noctule and a thrilling air, or other resources of equal power, to summon a hint from behind mirrors. Alright, so this is a bit of a problem. Because, yeah, we now have both visions and despair, which is what you usually try to avoid, but, well. Though we do gain a fleeting reminiscence, so that's at least good for something. Let's continue then to paint. Using in this case also the verb tile, some of this mystique. What? Interesting. What to study? we have one more text in Aramaic to translate. We call upon the watchman who illuminates, will almost certainly find this hidden door. Passionate intensity. This should, if we're lucky, good work. Yeah, that should give us some contentment. Yes, indeed. Oh, a fruitless search. Anyways, I mean, doors and other seal tags, seal aspects have the added benefit of not incurring a chance of injury on our people sent out with to the expedition, so that's at least that. And yes, now this fleeting reminiscence will quell one fascination, and once this has run out, it will generate another fleeting reminiscence. Very nice. Way to the spider's door. Glass garden. Approaching the peacock's door. The light of the divided sun penetrates my dream, but not enough to thaw the long-dead frost blossoms of the glass garden. Each step I take crushes another plant to powder. This is the way the brighter hours once came, but now it's silent, here in the clouds. Alright. And now let's work on another commission. No, that is not going to be enough. We need this. 𝐩𝐚𝐥𝐿 sought to become a name. In pursuit of that end, he made 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 the vessel of his appetites, promising 𝐷𝐷 that they would ascend together. At the spider's door, he betrayed his lover. Which, I don't know, it seems kind of a bit wasteful, because in the end, you can sacrifice anyone you want to the spider's door, including your enemies, so, I don't know. Sacrificing your lover there seems a bit much. Design as in... Oh, from Hades. From Hades 1, I really liked Ares. Ares' design, because it, on the one hand, looks very, almost unexpectedly clean-cut, refined, polite, but you see that glint in his eyes, that betrays what he really is, a butcher. And also, it just really complements the way he carries himself well. Like, always very polite, very, reasonable, calm, but you always get the sense that, that's just a very thin facade he puts on. I like it. The peacock door, proud and shining amethyst, its glow tinting the snow-pale shapes of the glass garden. This is the highest point where mortals may penetrate the mansis. No crack mars its surface. This is not a door that opens, although it is said it may bleed light. In my dreams I found the way to the peacock's door, sometimes called the Gate of Eyes, or Pride's Dismay. And now that we have it, let's actually reorient some of this. Like this, and we already have what is required to enter. Way to the peacock's door. The most admirable of doors, the door which shines like a mirror. Perhaps with the right resources, I can pass it. Passing the peacock's door reflects the mirror I hold in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the peacock's door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. In Hades 2, I haven't seen much of the designs yet, because I haven't played it yet, though I really like Odysseus' design. Also, though I think in large part that is also because of the voice, because it fits Odysseus extremely well, but you know, just the like design just really encapsulates the idea of like an trickster who's gotten wise in his later years. Both wise and mischievous. The maps, you know, symbolizing brilliant strategy, and the balanced knife, his trickery. Which is, interestingly, something that's kind of overlooked in a lot of the modern depictions of Odysseus, that he is very much like a rogue. The Chiliarch listened to the betrayal and then forced 𝐩𝐚𝐥𝐿 into his service. The Chiliarch cannot be denied. 𝐩𝐚𝐥𝐿 remained to write this work and to describe the outer magics of struggle and contest. An operation of the Labite. And the Chiliarch, of course, was, yeah, the 1,000 man, the colonel. Yeah, I mean, it is not a very bombastic design, but that's kind of what I like about it. It might also admittedly be the voice that carries a lot of it, but again, I've not seen that many of the designs in Hades 2. What could we work on? Yeah, this commission, of course. Nope, this requires reason. It's kind of interesting, because you would think that something like the Forge of Days, intense heat, might require passion, but no, the Forge of Days is a very dispassionate, rational principle, or forge at least. Alright, this expedition is coming to a close. Oh yeah, Nemesis design is also very great. And finally, our first entry through the Peacock Door. Nice. The Worm Museum, a vagabond's map. Size in the Mansus is negotiable, and so last night in the Worm Museum I saw one of the worms who took Vienna, caged next to a worm taken from the soul of a child. In dreams they are more visible than waking, smooth and dark as jewels. The walls bear stories of the First and Second Worm Wars. The third is too recent to have passed into the histories. I wonder... I think there was an answer to this, but I forgot again which wars the Worm Wars correlate to, because, I mean, the third one might well be the Great War. Alright, World's End. The library ceiling collapsed years ago. Many of the books have been reduced to a swollen pulp by dripping water. Something must remain. Well, let's hope so. Alright, currently nothing to study. Though that's about to change with the conclusion of this expedition. Ah, I forgot to read it. Anyways. Quite a few books. The Burning Woman, the Silver Book, the Iron Book, the known unknown Tantra, on Matthias and the Amethyst Imago Pursuit, and the Encircling Tantra. That's also one thing I've noticed, that the different editions, or I guess volumes, of Matthias and the Amethyst Imago also tell like basically like a Romeo and Juliet-esque romance story, only with surprisingly a less tragic ending, actually, of them rejecting their current immortality and then ascending together into a new form of immortality. Though I don't remember which one that was. Alright, which of these texts to decipher first? The Silver Book, why not? A manual of the Ordo Limie, an order of quasi-immortals who maintained a secret enclave at the source of the river Limia in the Roman province of Hispania Galicia. Could have sworn we read this one already. Maybe I'm imagining it. And let's send these two out on another expedition to the Foreman house. Although, yes, I think we can still afford another expedition before we have to feast again. And let's also initiate our way into the Peacock store again. The mirror will be ready in time. So yeah, now we'll start consuming Spintry at a pretty rapid rate. My hope is that we can find the wreck of the St. Christabel pretty soon, because that would enable us to find the Franicglaive? I forget the exact word, but the knock tool that allows us to pass through the Peacock store indefinitely. So yeah, I always try to get my hands on that one as soon as possible. Two appetites. And now let's once again talk to Valsiane, so that she can repair the mirror as soon as it fractures. A manual of the Order Limie, an order of quasi-immortals who maintained a secret enclave at the source of the river Limia, the Roman province, yes. This manual was compiled by one, oh god, Burzgash, who explains that he came to join the Ordo from the city of Messenger Eagles after he abandoned the service of the Ivory Dove. Interesting. Members of the Ordo took an oath, the silver chain that forbade men to lie with women, or women with men. For what may come is not always the crime of the sky, yet that is a furious danger. Yeah. For what may come is not always the crime of the sky, yet that is a furious danger. It was apparently permissible for men to lie with men and women with women. In fact, Burzgash suggests that should be encouraged to distract from other temptations. Happy Pride Month! Welcome Zeras. Thank you very much for following the channel. I will be happy, well yes, because the encouragement of men to lie with men and women with women to prevent the crime of the sky, which, you know, is, as we may recall, what was it? Yeah, if two long or names were to create an offspring, they are overcome with the desire to consume their infant, as Kronos once did, and become, as punishment, Sukoyants or other creatures shedding their skin. And I think actually Suluchana Amavayasa, the owner of the 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 club, is a Sukoyant, which is not exactly subtle with the, you know, image of the 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 club literally shedding your skin. Well, I mean, the GHOUL does offer more delights than torments. Though one interesting thing which is outlined in one of the volumes of Matthias and the Amethyst Imago is that in that story, the Amethyst Imago basically castrates Matthias so that they could be together regardless, without risking the creation of offspring, which does kind of beg the question why others didn't also do something similar. Maybe, I don't know, maybe once you're along, you need to, castration becomes more difficult as you're not exactly purely flesh and blood anymore. Who knows? Oh, Scholar Vac, just what we needed. The peacock door unsealed. Last night I opened the peacock door, and afterwards it spoke to me. I am Vac, it boasted, both the tongue and the goddess. I am the only entrance into secret light. I was worshipped before you upright apes, and I will be still when all of you are ugly ash. Listen, and I will prove it. I woke with my mouth full of words. Vac. Before gods arose from blood, before ever apes stood upright, this was the language heard in the House of the Sun. Very nice. We now have knowledge of the language of the House of the Sun, which is very good for these two books. How the End Will Begin, which I'm pretty sure gives you the highest tier of edgelore, and In the Mountains as Upon the Plains, which I think gives you, I want to say either a Vagabond's Map or the tier below. I mean, it is the, Prideful Gate, so that one checks out. And you do open it by literally showing it its own reflection. So, you know, not further surprising, I would argue. Let's add another Lantern Follower for the curse. And let's see, 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 has another commission to offer us, but we don't have it yet. Now let's see, yeah, if we go into the Peacock store now, I think we'll repair the mirror in time. The dead draw back, very nice. What could we work on? No, that's a bit too valuable. Let's go use a bronze one instead. We could paint, certainly. I mean, you know what? Sure. Might as well. Although we could also summon something. We do have this writhing call. Yeah, let's actually, yeah, let's summon 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭. Summoning something? Grail is the aspect of appetite, blood, and birth. If I had knock, I might attempt to summon something. And if I now add this. Moth. Forge a seductive savage power. Oh wait, this would consume the writhing call. It is an ingredient, so it would be consumed no matter what we do. Actually, yes, let me quench my own thirst. speaking of the Grail and the thirst, yeah, sure, let's attempt to summon one of the name emanations of the Red Grail. 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 may enter only where the Grail's power is strong, and it will choose to enter only when invoked with the forge, with which it has flirted so often. Alright, yeah, that should get us through just in time. The manual prescribes potential countermeasures to protect those who might be tempted to go against the oath. Masks, disfigurement, severe poetic disciplines. Those who do break it are to be punished with death. Although there are lesser punishments prescribed for various acts that don't involve actual coitus, an invocation is included which was used to incorporate these punishments into summoning rites. Yeah, I mean, that's 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 for you. Right, let's finally translate these works of 𝐩𝐚𝐥. How the End Will Begin, a book of bleak prophecy. This will give us dread if we do read it in the end, but we'll live. Wieldering Mirror. To go right back in here. And now, let's send out... No, first let's get some commissions, and after that let's take care of that evidence. Gambling on the Worm Museum. This has a chance of giving us dread, which would be bad, but let's hope it's secret histories. Perfect Frost. Well, not exactly useful, but also not detrimental. We'll take it, we'll take it. We call upon the Colonel, who cannot be denied. The Colonel is a fierce hour, but a power which knows light. And he has survived worse. His power will almost certainly protect us. There we go, and get a new commission. Ah. So many rich aromas, like a feast upon the air. But first and mostly, blood. 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 the second thirstly. Change me, change me, change me harder. Now, my turn. Primarily, this will give us the means of learning Phrygian. A prophecy of the wars of the roads, recorded in the subcontinent in the days before the Great Hooded Princes. Study Phrygian with a tutor. Phrygian, the Great Mother's tongue, of course. If you have enough Greek, I guarantee that the experience of learning Phrygian will be very pleasant. My Greek will serve as a foundation. I'll learn everything I can. And now let's take, finally, care of that pesky bit of evidence. Curse Shrivels, very, very nice. We have this commission on Edge, which would give us another Bronze Spintree, which is very good because that's the main one we'll be consuming for the time being. Treasures lie before us. Alright, we're at 3 hunger now. Well, one can only assume with the Red Grail, though I don't have a concrete answer either, just vague, just a vague portent of, doom, I guess. Alright, of records. I await word with bated breath. Herodotus tells a wild story of a pharaoh who discovered the Phrygian language was the first spoken by humans. He was wrong, of course. It was 𝐻𝐿. But everyone enjoys the story. Phrygian. The Phrygians worshipped the Great Mother, who we call the Grail. Theirs was the land in which the Sisterhood of the Knot was born, and this is the tongue in which the Thunderskin pleaded at his ascension. Phrygian, it's almost certainly also real, though the last thing I remember reading up on was Mendaic, which was also from Anatolia, like Aramic. Though Phrygian, I'm not sure on where that one was from. Again, let's send 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 here on the expedition, mostly just to preserve him. My minion has returned. The evidence is gone. Very nice. And let's get Bassiani again to repair the mirror. Hello, 𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿. It's been indeed a few days. Nice to see you. We are still pursuing the path of the medium, or rather the ghoul, and we have begun painting upon a pale canvas, remembering the aspects of the lost hours, the dead gods, which the elegiast still remembers. I don't quite remember how many of them there were in total. Maybe 7, maybe 9. I'm guessing probably not 5. I'm pretty sure though it's an odd number. It usually is with these things. The casts. In the room that overlooks the grimy glass of the broken conservatory, twisted shapes, yellow pale as maggots, recline on slabs of wood. These are the plaster casts that Foreman made of the poor souls inhabited by the creatures he studied. In some of the figures, the entry holes are visible in the irrelevant surface. In others, we might assume the creature entered by ear, or mouth, or elsewhere. The room is empty, but at last, when we chance to break one of the casts, we find Foreman's library treasures, cached in the figure's yellowing abdomen. Ugh. Was experimenting, it seems, on the worms. And now let us again slake our hunger. And let us also summon a new maiden mirror. This one will allow to decay. And this one will use to summon a successor. Right, now let's read how the end will begin. In the foretold war, the children of the leashed flame march on the cities of the continent, but the enactors of solar law and the Triple Sisterhood join forces to hold them back at tremendous cost. Children of the leashed flame, I think, are the hooded princes, and enactors of solar law are the followers of the unconquered sun, I suppose, and the Triple Sisterhood is, of course, the Sisterhood of the Knot. The appetite plagues us still. We're currently at 3, but we found that by consuming special, unique remnants found in unusual places, we can gain more than just fleeting memories from the dead flesh. And with these memories, we can paint upon our pale canvas. 4 of these memories we've already found. Another cemetery, and we'll send out 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭. As much as they'll probably sulk about having to do such menial labor, it will preserve them for us nonetheless. Hope no dread is upcoming. No, indeed not. So that's remnant number 1. Let's waste no time in getting the second. How the end will begin. In that battle between the imperishable legions and the leashed flame, the legions will perish and the flame will be unleashed. The mysteries of force. The Colonel and the Lionsmith are gods who were flesh, but the wolf divided is a god who was blood. Cunning, strength, and agony are the 3 roots of victory, and here is their secret doctrine. The first of the top tier lore fragments we have gained. Now, let's feast upon a remnant. Once again, my appetite rises, flecked once again with shivers of revulsion. Another maiden mirror, a repaired wildering mirror. A lot of mirrors going on here. We have this made in the mirror and this one. Alright, I think at least one of them will probably endure until the next expedition. And now that this is dealt with, let's go again to the Peacock Store. Let's also sort this. The world does not weep. On Matthias and the Amethyst Imago. Another volume of that story. The Deeds of the Scarred Captain. And the Devoured Tantra. That one goes here, yes. Payment. A new commission. And let's already begin talks with Valsiane, so that then the mirror will be cracked just as this expires. Now, here's the question. Do we go right away on another expedition, or do we explore one of these? 𝐩𝐚 does still have some time on him, so let's uncover more locations in the land beyond the forest. Alright, we do also still have some more appetite. That we can't forget. 2 to be exact. Alright, in the meanwhile though, although we do have a remnant to feast on right away. Something joyful. Let's, yeah, let's paint a little bit. And then perhaps, if necessary, talk to Miss Nenya about something joyful to gain some contentment. Because, yeah, that is a lot of dread. Pains me to kind of have 𝐩𝐚 lose so much of his timer right here, but right now there isn't really a better way. Something menacing, which would also give us more dread if we used it as on our reputation as a medium. Okay, so do we gamble in the Worm Museum or do we take the unresolved ambiguity? I think we'll take it. Last night I opened the peacock door, and beyond it, in the bright spaces of the house, I met a pilgrim adept. I am almost ready, they said, to pass to the summit of the house, to prepare for the final ascent. Perhaps you'll join me. I will need allies to fight for my place. Here is a story to help you rise. An unresolved ambiguity. In the Mansus, the hours strive one against another. As the struggles are resolved, they iron out the impossible, exalt the possible, tie the fraying braids of what has been into one golden ribbon of future. Everything is resolved. History becomes the past. There are, however, exceptions. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the Rending Mountains, 3,000 miles away among the wreck of the oldest empires. We'll put that here. Main thing we want is another Vagabond's map so that we can gain a Port Noon anecdote, which will then, in turn, hopefully lead us to the wreck of the St. Cristobal. If not the first time, then hopefully the second time. Hopefully then, if not the second time, then the third time, and if we're really unlucky, the fourth time, but, you know, you take what you can get. Alright. Fox Lily Meadows. The scent of fox lilies inspires ferocious appetites. It is probably fortunate that they grow only at this altitude. The peasants have organized to keep treasure seekers away, but some treasure seekers fall prey to lily hungers. Their own treasures lie among their bones, and so the cycle continues. We found all the expeditions in the land beyond the forest, although we can find and visit the meadows several times. I think we'll go to them right away, but only once we've gotten some more morsels to feed on. Ah, contentment, very good. Also, a season of dread isn't imminent, it seems, which is also relieving. So I feel somewhat safe to use something menacing in my work as a medium. But after that we'll have to resummon the maiden, a maid in the mirror, because these two are about to expire. This, the formula, along with the desire, and now our hunger is luckily slaked. So the Fox Lily Meadows will take 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 and this maid here. The path through the mountains to the high meadow will be hard. The peasants of the mountains will seek to drive us away. If we return home safe, we may struggle to shake off the visions of the place. Right, and we may now also use something joyful with Miss Nenya to gain some more contentment. Though I suppose waiting with that a little bit would make more sense. Now, Sunset Right and I guess that's also enough. To summon another Maiden Mirror and handily get rid of one of these dreads in the same breath. Alright, Worm Museum. Please, 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 a Vagabond map. Ah, Perfect Frost. At least it's not dread. And now, let's use this contentment to dream away this dread. And we have yet more contentment. Though I think not all of it will come in useful. Something profitable, very nice. And yes, our appetite is slaked. What do we have here? Mountains. Winter to shield us with the Maiden Mirror. This is no problem. Heart or winter. Alright, we already have everything we need for this expedition. Very relieving to see. Now, in the meantime, what could we study? This. In the mountains as upon the plain. In the mountains as upon the plain, there may not be a path where none has passed. Work by Ninigala of Lagash. Probably, that will probably uncover a location in the Rending Mountains. Also on a commission, no doubt from Dr. Ibn Aladim, yes. Let's hope everything goes well with this summoning. Shouldn't have said anything. Well, let's send it home. And let's use a joyful memory to gain contentment from Miss Nenya. Miss Nenya's eyes are warm. So now that frees up our dream tile. Oh, right, the mirror is cracked, my mistake. Oh well. Also some tentative evidence, so we should be able to deal with that. Against all odds, we don't make it across the passes. In the mountains. Translated, and now to read it. Ninegala tells a number of lively stories about riddling ogres and wars between mountain tribes, but turns somber in the tale of the empty-handed hunter, a lover of the Grail who sought to match her appetites and join her as an hour, but in the end rent and devoured himself, giving his name to the mountains he had once roamed. Interesting, so that's presumably then where the Grail is from. Oh. Miss Nenya says nothing, but all the way home, there's a tune in my head that leaves me thinking of her. We don't gain contentment from this after all. Interesting. Let's send the other maid in the mirror here. My summoning has been defeated. Our numbers dwindle. 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 Thirstly has been, against all odds, defeated. That does, however, leave us with Remnant. Though, same as with King Crucible, I suspect once we taste of him, we won't be able to summon him again. So, perhaps we shouldn't do that just yet. It is banished or destroyed. 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 is sulking. 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 will be fine, eventually. Oh, this also doesn't have the remnant tag, so nothing to feast upon here. But despite that, we still have everything to overcome all of the challenges. So long as we're not exceedingly unlucky, that is, of course. We call upon the Madrugad, who cannot be unbalanced. The hour called the Madrugad is at home in the cold. She will almost certainly keep us from falling. And we have to watch our dread, so let's actually call it an early night. With a little bit of luck, that should give us what we seek. Ninegala claims that the hours who sometimes manifests as birds, the laughing thrush, the ivory dove, the beach crow, and the witch and sister. Oh, the witch and sister? I didn't know that. meet at a secret location on a mountaintop to exchange gossip unheard by their peers. Now and then a mortal overhears them. The mortal is always obliterated, and the meeting place always changed. Centipede Testament. The centipede came up out of the sands and went in under the roots. She found a new home, but now she can't go home. She creeps in everywhere else, keyholes and histories, and the channels of birth and sight and hearing. Here's what she has to say. And another unresolved ambiguity. We now have quite a few 10th order lore fragments, which is quite useful indeed. In the meanwhile, let's Book of Thrones. That will give us more secret history, but there's not much of a need of that. What do we have few of? Winter and... well, only Winter and Knock. Let's read The Burning Woman, or translate it rather. A transcription of the play by Meander the victor, possibly the dramatist of that name, into Phrygian, with commentaries. Interesting. Now, will we make it across here? Really? Twice now, we have 20 winter, and twice now it wasn't enough. It's unlikely, but it is possible. My minion has returned, stumbling, mumbling, clumsily bandaged. They were caught in the coils of their own plan. So, before anything else, let's heal Elizabeth. This we have to watch out for, because this might very easily turn into another piece of dread. My summoning has been defeated. Our numbers dwindle. Theoretically, this should be still more than enough to overcome everything here, but... well. Another chilly atmosphere, though we can combine them to buy us a little more time. And dreaming has given us contentment, as has painting. Okay. So we can breathe a little easier. But still, let's deepen the silence. Not really because we need a higher order influence, but more because combining the two will mean they only decay into one dread. And let's use this something profitable here. So now, what to study? Right. The Burning Woman. The play describes a pilgrimage of smiths and adepts following the trail of the Burning Woman, who has appeared in all their dreams and given each a wound and a word. Alright, once again we call upon the Madrugad. Third time's the charm, eh? The wound is healed, the scar remains, but each scar, as the scholar 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 once observed, is a lesson. Let's try this once again. We're also, curiously, slowly running out of funds. I really thought 120 would have been enough, but apparently not. Right, more contentment, and that should be that as far as that despair is. Ah, finally. Frost-scarred and shivering, we've made it through the mountains. Oh, I forgot to study that. Well, or read that, rather. Well, we'll have to live with that, I suppose. Let's, yeah, let's rid us of this fascination. Nope. Fascination and a fleeting reminiscence. And, yeah, I guess... The world does not weep. Brown, Joshua, found this in a well in Hamath. There's an unlikely story that it was abandoned by Alexander during his retreat from Issus. I wonder, is Issus actually a battle Alexander the Great won, lost in our history? Or is this a battle that, at least in our history, he won, therefore making this a text from the first history where Alexander the Great's conquest of the Persian Empire was stopped in its tracks? Something to read up on later. Alright, tampering with records again. My minion has returned. The evidence has been destroyed. I am a little safer. Right, now we can work on more commissions. With reason. Our strength is matchless. The Watchers will almost certainly regret standing against us. A bronze Spintria for our troubles. And let us get a new commission right away. And then... let us once again repair the cracked wildering mirror. The world does not weep. Right. Should we read it right away? Sure. The unknown adept who wrote this proclaims, "The world forgets, but the ivory dove does not." The text contains a number of prescriptions for ensuring that certain acts are remembered, including a rite which requires a sacrifice in a particularly monstrous mode. Interesting. I mean, we are in the service of the ivory dove. So this might be of special interest to us. But maybe it might not. Who knows? Now, what to dream of? Right, the peacock door. But we'll have to wait a little bit. Until this ticks below 30 seconds. The Watcher's victory are... seriously, what's going on with this expedition? Well, with a little bit of luck, the Maiden Mirror won't be destroyed. Of course, of course. Yeah, so... not really any point in continuing this expedition. We don't really have the mortal followers necessary. Although... No. It's better to let this expedition fade out. Now, let's dream again of the peacock store. There goes our last maid in the mirror. But it shouldn't be too hard to gain a new one. With an invocation of Knock and a tool of winter and an iron spintrier as cost. A deep winter's cold to name and draw the maid in the mirror, edge to match her keen cruelty. The hours tried to bury the memory of what happened to the wheel, the flint, the tide, and the seven coiled, but the dove won't permit it. nor will he permit what happened to the first egg to be forgotten, although it is perhaps the one thing that the Watchman might never forgive. Okay, so this references the wheel, the flint, the tide, and the seven-coiled, as well as the egg. That's 5 gods from stone, I think, that were all slain. Now if we add the sun and splendor, that makes 6. I don't know what other dead gods there would be, but at least those 6 we know of, that we'll have to inscribe upon our canvas. Invocations of the Ivory Dove, and a rite that we already knew. Now, what else to study? A catalogue of uncharted pleasures. The Dark Gentleman is the only, and rather grandiosely, identified author of this often copied work. The Dark Gentleman. Ominous. No traveler returns. No one returns. I can attempt the expedition again. I can even reuse the supplies. But before we do that, I think we hunt for treasures in the Rending Mountains. The Rending Mountains, it has been said, tear the flesh of history. It has generally only been said by people like Christopher Illopoli, but still, they are a good region to find the places that daylight history does not recognize. Right, we'll keep the Vagabond's map unused in hopes of, in turn, using it to gain a Port Noon anecdote. For that, we'll need this Wildering Mirror. Despair, despair. Unfortunate, but that's how it is, I suppose. Oh, hold on. So this is... Ah, okay, I mixed these two up. There we go. Now we can fulfill the commission. Let's hope all goes well with this summoning. And let's also hope... Dread. Unfortunate. I was hoping for another Vagabond's map. But at least, if nothing else, the summoning was a success. And we now have a second Maid in the Mirror. Speaking of which, we can use her right away to bring forth a second one. Yeah, having a notebook of some sort is definitely useful, and I don't know if I wouldn't call it necessarily required to beat the game, at least in the standard ways. Remembering to read all of the text from the books is nonetheless very useful for getting a better overview of how the world works. I don't think I read all of the text that the books gave me when I first played the game, and I didn't need it to beat the standard victories. But they do contain some very useful bits of knowledge, and also some not necessarily useful but definitely interesting bits, like personal stories that stretch across several ancient books and histories of individual romances, or other people that tried to ascend, sometimes failed, sometimes succeeded. A catalogue of uncharted pleasures. Nothing's keeping us from reading it right away. Some pleasures, the formula voluptuous attest, are so intense that they can corrupt the laws of the physical world. This text catalogues one of those instances. So... I mean... So I would say it's a pretty safe bet this gives us a formula voluptuous then. if the text itself already references them. Ah. The Eye of 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭. We have read of a sultan who, 800 years ago, could sleep only beneath the stars. He ordered the construction of this observatory so that the stars could be accurately depicted on the ceiling of his bedchamber. Regrettably, the stars they saw were not safe for the unprotected human mind. The sultan's successor ordered the observatory sealed. Very good. We'll send our maids in the mirror onto this right away, as soon as they're ready. In the meantime, though, I think we'll go to the 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 Club. The hungers of the 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 Club. For the contentment. But instead we gain an awareness of appetite. Oh well. We can now enter again through the peacock door. Another bronze spintrier. And let's cross our fingers. Yes, the summoning was successful. Very nice. So let's send out these two. The rending mountains stand between us and the observatory. The door will be sealed and barred against us. The visions we find may tear at our senses. Alright, so I think the mountains will... the maids in the mirror will help us through those. The door probably will require forge, knock, or lantern. And then there's probably also some curse. What we need to guard against that one is, as of yet, undetermined. Let's see, well, let's work on this commission. Oh, I forgot to read it, but our suspicions were indeed confirmed. We have gained another formulae voluptuous. The mirror is repaired. And so we now have the space to send out, once again, Elizabeth to take care of this evidence for us. Yes. Very nice. So, the Rending Mountains, the 5th Eye Curse, so that one we're already protected against with Winter, and a Warded Door. We'll send... well, fortunately we don't have any... we should probably recruit a need at the earliest opportunity, because currently we only have 1 knock follower and 2 forge followers, which means that if we send both forge followers here, we won't be able to repair the mirror for a while. But with just a little luck, we won't need to. Okay. Do we gamble? Let's gamble. Damn it! Alright, so that didn't play out as hoped. I was hoping for another Vagabonds map, but oh well. Perfect Frost is... it could be worse. Now, let's see. We do also now have, again, enough Grail to try to resummon 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭, though perhaps there's not too much of a point to that right now. We don't desperately need him. Let's read... Wait, this is Deep Mandaic, which isn't these. A Legend of the Shadowless Empire, transcribed by Alexander Peterhans from Annals at a secret shrine in Anatolia. Oh. I had not realized we were this close to despair. Well, opium time. I don't enjoy using opium. It's a bit of a stopgap solution in my opinion, but, well, we'll do what we must. I wait with bated breath. Whew, alright. The opium did the trick, for now at least. I need to be more careful. That could have been that right there. Alright, so... I think we can use Laidlaw a final time to crack the mirror. Also more contentment. Plenty more contentment, actually. In the first and greatest history, a subject of the Shadowless Empire of Persia travels to the west, to the kingdom of the Perseids. There he becomes a prodigy of the tutelary Perseid deity, the scarred man who lives in the dark. He returns after 7 years to put his skills at the service of the Shadowless Empire, becoming their golden general. Ah, okay. The golden general then probably being the lionsmith. Yeah, the golden general is the lionsmith. That's another one of their names. So the lionsmith was part of the first history Persian Empire, the Shadowless Empire. Interesting. Didn't know that. Let's also call it an early night. We call upon the Forge of Days, who ends what will not change. With a little bit of luck, we'll only need 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 here to breach the warded door. The death of a door. All doors must open, as all lives must end. This door has found its end here today. Nice. That's very good, because it means we can still use Laidlaw to fix up the mirror in the meanwhile, even as the expedition is still ongoing. And for the curse we have ample winter by way of the maid. The Book of Thrones. After many years of peace, the heirs of the Perseids move against the King of Kings and the Shadowless Empire. The Golden General will not take arms against the blood of his mentor until the King of Kings whispers a great secret of betrayal in his ear. He breaks his sword, forswears his oath to both the Empire and the Scarred Man, and enters the temple behind the world, leaving his life behind. Interesting. So the lionsmith was a general of the Persians, and then when the Persids led by, or at least worshipped by, the colonel, moved against them, the king of the Persians tried to motivate the lionsmith against the Perseids, which then instead led him to forswear both the Shadowless Empire and the colonel, and ascend to where he is now as one of the Hours. The lionsmith's names: the lionsmith is young by the standards of the Hours, but old by the standards of war. His names are recent recruits, and their recitation has a savage power. And we also gained another, what was it? Unresolved ambiguity. Right. Yes, another entry to the Peacock Door. Hopefully, finally another Vagabond's map. I've been waiting so long. The mirror is repaired. It shines again as it did once before, just in time for this. And so, I'll first get a commission here, and then set Laidlaw right back to work. Because the mirror will soon be broken again. Visions and despair. Alright, let's paint, but just regularly. That should hopefully net us some contentment, which we can then in turn use to abate the despair, which will then give us a fleeting reminiscence. Curse shrivels. Nice. Alright, come on, come on. Yes! Finally! A Vagabond's map. Size in the Mansis is negotiable, and so last night in the Worm Museum I saw one of the worms who took Vienna, caged next to a worm taken from the soul of a child. In dreams they are more visible than waking, smooth and dark as jewels. The walls bear stories of the first and second worm wars. The third is too recent to have passed into the histories. Alright, so at long last we have 2 Vagabonds maps. So now all I'll require is a bit of erudition, and I can combine the two. Though until that time, let me translate, wait, is this not... Oh, this is in Aramaic. Why did I put this here? Pursuit transformations. Let's start with Pursuit. I think that's chronologically the earlier volume. Fortunately, these aren't numbered like Locksmith's Dream or Traveling at Night. Despair abates. Nice, nice. That should then also take care, yes, of the visions. Repairing the mirror. And now let's work on this commission of Secret Histories, because completing it will give us the erudition we seek. And once we have that, we can finally get ourselves that long sought after Port Moon anecdote. An account of an occult romance. A certain 𝐩𝐚𝐥 claims to have written this in a single night as part of his initiation into the Theban branch of the House of Lethe, that order of immortals who used the arts of water to conceal themselves. Let's also translate the second one. That way we can maybe gauge which one of them comes chronologically first. Some dread, but it's no longer that big of a concern. The progress of the heavens. The great telescope has rusted and fallen from the dome. The lenses have cracked, but pale lights rotate slowly above the floor, like lamps held aloft by dancers. Perhaps they imitate the procession of heavenly bodies. Perhaps their motion mourns the passing of the sun. The chief of the astronomers who dwelt here must have been a practitioner of the invisible arts. In a cedarwood box in his quarters beneath the decaying bed, we find what we sought. Ah, a cracked watchman's glass. Nice. The Book of Masks in Phrygian, and the Larcabine Codex, also in Phrygian, and a consecrated lintel. This is the skull of a door through which power has passed. Quite useful for summoning. And now, we're almost done with this commission. Now we hand it in. Nope. Like this. The commission for Ibn al-Adim. No, these are not the ones we sought. These are unresolved ambiguities. We're after Vagabond's maps. Let's also work on these other commissions in the meanwhile. Fulfill a commission for Dr. Ibn al-Adim. The payment and, crucially, the erudition. So once we've completed this translation, we can finally get ourselves a Port Noon anecdote. To repair it right away or do something else in the meanwhile. Let's repair it now. Or, better yet, let's repair the watchman's glass. But let's also call it an early night in the meanwhile. Another volume of Matthias and the Amethyst Imago. But the thing that's of relevance to us, the erudition, can now be used in our study, not of this, but also not here. There we go. Study the histories. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. The vagabond is the 1 hour who can never enter the manses, but she goes everywhere else. And, if you believe her boasts, she's the only one who knows all the histories. Sometimes she lets someone record her travels. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the lone and level sands, far from here. The lone and level sands are indeed tempting, but not exactly what we're after. We want Port Noon, or rather the wreck of the St. Christabel. Into the night, wisdom is a country, and these are its maps. Grail lore, very substantial. Passion and reason in equal measure. What's our appetite doing? Not too fierce. Dreams of doors. Tonight is the dream of the labyrinth of doors. Restlessness. We can deal with this in time. By painting. Alright, knowledge. After that we'll need glimmering. So... for that, we'll hand in this commission on heart. Watchman's glass. This is the mirror into which one does not look twice. And we've found Snow's Keeper, a mountain peak temple of ill-omened aspect. Jewel-bright fungus slicks glow in the snow. None has come here in a generation, but still something moves within. Let's send, while they are still among us, our maids in the mirror after it. And now let's hand in this commission on heart, which should give us a glimmering to fulfill this knowledge puzzle. Our hunger grows, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Indeed, a glimmering. And now the watchman's glass is repaired. Let's now paint to get rid of that restlessness. We'll brave the mountain snows to reach the temple. If the dead rise against us, we'll suppress them. But there is a malignity here that we must suppress, or it will return home with us. Alright, if we're very lucky, this will be... okay, lantern or moth. So, both the high passes and the dead is something our maids in the mirror can protect us against. But for the worms, we'll need lantern. So let's waste no time in sending them some lantern followers. Getting rid of one of these dreads with contentment. Challenge intuition. We have the glimmering required. I could also potentially accept Poppy's quest, because we are also quite low on funds, and I mean, we can always sacrifice a pawn. So... sure, let's accept Poppy's offer. We have the pawns to spare. We call upon the Madrugat who cannot be unbalanced. Let's send in another lantern follower. Not that we need it yet, but it's good to have. Alright, all that should be left now is illumination, for which we have the rarefied mind. Now, should we work on this right away? Yes. We shall. Our appetites rise. Yeah, but we're still only at 2 and then turning into 3. Poppy's request. In the season of rags, Poppy will return. But, you know, we have, at the very least, a pawn to take care of that. Through the high passes, frost-scarred and shivering, we've made it through the mountains. Next should be the dead. Alright, every knowledge challenge passed. We should have ourselves soon enough a port noon anecdote. And, if we're exceedingly lucky, said anecdote will bring us right to the wreck of the St. Christabel. If not, well, there's always next time and the time after that. We call upon Ivory Dove, who knows the names of all the dead. Repairing the mirror. Right, and that should be just in time to pass the peacock door. In the meantime, is there something else we could work on? We could paint. Gain some extra income. Port Noon anecdote. Port Noon is where the long go to enjoy the sea and the sun, to drink from the spring that makes them forgotten, and to stay out of trouble. Mostly out of trouble. The stories you can hear in the Hotel 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 are golden-dewed, quintuple distilled toasts to memory, served straight up. Such an evocative description, honestly. Quintuple distilled toasts to memory. Nice. The Book of Masks. Athena Vanna's work on the rogue hour called The Vagabond. The mirror ready just in time to pass the peacock door. The dead draw back. Good. And I can gain some new commissions. Alright. Do we risk it or do we take the unresolved ambiguity? We risk it. Damn it. I can't win them all. At least that painting should give us some contentment. Good work. No contentment. Sadly, though. Some other things. Yeah, let's, paint again, actually. Maybe this time we'll be luckier. Let's use 2 passion. I think that increases the chance of getting contentment. Bewildering mirror again. The sun in rags lends lantern light. It will almost certainly end this curse here. Athena Vanna's work on the rogue hour called the Vagabond, who is also known as the Laughing Thrush, the Centipede, the Pilgrim, and by many other names. Or, as Vanna calls it, masks. Ah, okay, so the Centipede and the Laughing Thrush are also both the Vagabond. I think I knew that, but then I forgot it. But now I know it again. Anyways, once I think we've completed this expedition and then moved on to explore this Port Noon anecdote, that would be a good time to end it today. It is getting quite long. Unlike us, regrettably, so far. Good work. Still no contentment, but it's fine, I think. Let's paint with passion without a skill. That, I think, has a higher chance of gaining contentment. Treasures lie before us. Nice. No curse incurred. The mask of the centipede recalled her birthplace, Mia, which had punished her for creeping into the temple precinct. The mask cursed Mia to drink only dust and to be remembered only by the wind. For not beneath any mask does she forgive, and the centipede's hunger is not to be forgotten. Alright, let's read now. The Amethyst Imago, on Matthias and the Amethyst Imago Pursuit. Matthias defied us to hunt the names of the moth in the wood to populate his pinned collection. The Amethyst Imago had dallied with the witch and sister, but she'd returned to the wood to plead the moth's pardon. The moth, as a whim or a penance, sent her out to lure the long to a slough of nightmares. Right, so this is chronologically the first of the Matthias and Imago books, the one in which they meet. The mirror is repaired, just in time. The altar's garment. The interior of the temple throbs with luminescent fungi. We peel them from the altar with our gloved hands before we can loot the place. It is as cold as rain-chilled flesh. Our gloves now are stained with light. Our breath mists in the temple's cold. Alright, it's almost time for Poppy's request. Okay, let's risk it. Yes! Another Vagabond's map. So, with one more of those, we can create a second Port Noon anecdote, though we'll have to use up the first one, because like all other lores, the final tier on Secret Histories is also unique, so we can have only one of them at a time. The treasures that unknown priests left here, and a pitiful huddle of bones. A sacrifice? Or did a later visitor end their visit here? The glowing fungus has etched their skeleton with its acids. Sadly, we didn't get any remnant from this, despite the bones. But we did get an enigmatic sculpture, which would theoretically enable us to study Vak. An elaborate ivory sculpture of impossible intricacy. Around and across its surfaces, Sanskrit inscriptions spiral against matching lines of Vak. A furious sliver. When the linesmith turned against the colonel, he crushed his own sword in his fist. Each tiniest fragment of that weapon still thrills with rage. That's actually what we read about earlier. Of the lionsmith turning his back on both the Shadowless Empire and the Colonel. Hallowed Polos, the ring crown of a savage mother, stained with essence, woven with scraps of hair, and blessed with flecks of skin. The dream of the conspiracy of the lower skies in Phrygian. Where has she gone? A discussion in Vak on the vagabond's travels. Oh, interesting. That will give us, I think, if we study it, translate it, and then study it, another Vagabond's map. Very nice. Look west to the evening isles with a long, still walk. Across a bright, far sea, Port Noon lies. Exiles, monsters, and visionaries have long favored the waters around it. Perhaps we shouldn't get too close. But it might be useful to get close enough. So, I'm pretty sure Port Noon and the Evening Isles are the Caribbean. Because several of the locations there reference, like the wreck of the St. Christabel, or the Governor's Citadel or Fortress, I don't remember. which seem to heavily imply, you know, the ships, expeditions, and settlements of the Spanish in the New World. And, you know, looking west, the Caribbean and the surrounding isles seem like the most natural fit to the Evening Isles. In the meantime, though, what do we dream of? The despair is defeated with that. Oh, actually, let's have our two maids in the mirror talk to each other so that they're preserved in time to be used on the expedition. Very substantial commission on edge. Matthias loved the imago. Did he? Can long love? Or has that organ of their soul desiccated beyond... Or has that organ of their soul desiccated beyond repair? The imago loved Matthias, did she? Or did she only enact a whim? He pursued her through the wood, but at the last she turned aside from the nightmare slough, and they lay together where the bounds grow bright. So they learned the Grail's pleasures, and this is the lore they won. I mean, we know almost certainly that Long are capable of love, even names. I mean, the Baldemorian, a name of the door in the eye, is still longing for her Christopher. So, it does seem that their love rang true in the end. On Matthias and the Amethyst Imago transformation, we cast Matthias out, and we pronounced a curse upon the Amethyst Imago, but we watched them in dreams. We saw them pledge themselves to the forge, to change themselves and ascend anew. Into the fire they fly. So, what to dream of? We might actually, for once, dream of the stag door of all things. Oh, we should also not neglect our hunger. We've grown quite voracious. So, before we set out to the Evening Isles, we'll have to slake our hunger. Right, here, a friendly visit from Poppy. This is the time, my dear. The sun in rags requires his conclusion. Will it be you, or do you have a friend? Well, we do have this pawn here. Bye-bye. A suitable conclusion. What a loyal friend you have here. Do say goodbye now. Alright, let's see what we've got. Fort Garrick. 300 years ago, a rapacious empire claimed an island ripe with tourmalines. Neither the empire nor the island are mentioned in any reputable history, but the governor's fortress remains. Perhaps his treasures remain. For that matter, perhaps he does, too. Alright, it's not the wreck of the St. Christabel, but... oh well. Let's have these two talk to each other again, and let's look for a good cemetery. A commission finished. And I think as soon as we've slaked our hunger... Damn it, I forgot to read the last part of the Amethyst Imago. Oh well. But yes, once we've slaked our hunger, I think we'll call it for tonight. Forgotten Chronicle? Sure, we'll take it. Let's get to translating. Where has she gone? Because this will almost certainly give us another Vagabond's map. which will be our ticket to a second visit to Port Noon and the Evening Isles. Another time, though. Alright, promising cemeteries. Prowl the streets, seeking places of burial which are close, but not too close. Populous, but not too busy. And then we'll send one of these maids in the mirror. Like this. Out to procure us some delicacies, so to speak. My follower is gone. I remain. Puppy Lachelle is seen here and there. She may have more to say to me. Yes, and now she is available as a regular old patron. A disinterment, stealthy excavation by the soft light of a hooded lantern. The shovel strikes wood. That's a good sign. If the coffin is too far rotted, usually the remains are scant. And let's send out this maid. Right again. And let's use... Let's see here, which rite? The sunset rite. With the chilly atmosphere, some knock. Some more knock, I think. Not actually sure, but I think having higher aspects reduces the risk of a summoning going awry. That may be pure superstition on my part, though. Alright. Where's she gone? The Speeth, perhaps a single adept, perhaps a council of scholars, hypothesizes secret events from limited evidence with persuasive accuracy. But before we read it, there's the hunger. And there's what we need to slake it. We also can hand in a commission. Receive some new commissions. Oh, the doctor still has a commission for us, right, that we're currently working on. Heal our diseased flesh. A second little morsel. But it's not enough. Quite hungry this time. So... let's see. 2 more after this. So this one and then a final one after that. A commission from Poppy. We also have something menacing here, which we may be able to use with our job as a medium, or with Miss Nenya, but that will only give us an influence, not something we really need necessarily. A second maid in the mirror. Another corpse. We'll need 1 more. Something profitable. And I think just before we set out to Fort Garrick, we'll pay a final visit to the 𝐩𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 Club. We do have quite a bit of dread accrued here. Right, the remnant we so crave. The commission from Dr. Ibn al-Adim. Final visit to the Ecdysis Club. Another profitable memory, and now to slake our hunger for the final time, for a little while. And contentment, which we can now use to get rid of one of these pieces of dread. There we go. And with this, we set off the expedition. A crumbling sandstone fortress broods over an empty bay. At night the dead walk, by day they lie in wait. In a sealed vault, the old governor's hoard awaits its plunderer. But what the expedition will bring us to will have to wait until another time. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after that. We shall see. My throat is also getting quite hoarse, so I am going to send a raid target. The same one as last time. Starlight Akari. This time, I believe, playing Arknights again. Or maybe a master study, I'm not entirely sure. An artist I have admired for quite some time, so be nice, everyone. Well, in any case, it has been my pleasure to be your host again this night. If you would like, do make sure to perform those rites we all know to appease the gods of algorithmic madness. Likery, subscrification, all the sort. And I'll see you next time. Have a nice night. And safe travels. My voice is giving out. Good thing we're ending stream now.